Hello all, this is Detective Aardvark. You know that I'm gonna be the first person in the phone book, unless you have one of those weird phone books that sorted backwards for whatever reason. Not sure why you would want to. Anyway, I'm here today to, well, for those of you who don't know, I'm the leading detective on the Nock case. We're here today in lovely Cornwall Heights, Pennsylvania. We are studying the patterns that were created by Nock. Today's adventure, we're checking out what happened on August 22nd, 2016. So this is quite some time in the past. However, we have sources that informed us that he parked somewhere inside of this parking lot. Granted, that doesn't tell us much, seeing as this parking lot has over 2,000 parking spaces. However, tendencies show that he usually parks in the far side of the lot. So is this parking space exactly correct? I doubt it, but, well, we'll never know. There's just no way for us to be that scientifically accurate, unfortunately. Anyway, but exploring more of the events that happened around today is probably going to be one of the leading parts of the investigation now. We've even managed to secure a vehicle that was actually very similar to what Nock was driving at the time. We have another Ford Taurus. The only exception is this one is obviously completely hot pink. We're not quite sure who decided to do this, but you know that it for sure was not Nock. He may have been crazy, but he was a little bit more sane than that. Anyway, if we go over here, we can exit this parking lot. Thankfully, there's a stop sign here so that we can stop safely among all of this lack of traffic. We can head safely back on the off-ramp down. Now, sources conflict on the different accounts of which way he leaves the parking lot, because we have records indicating that he used to leave both ways, and will be ever uncertain as to which route he took on his way home. But there are quite a few sources that say he may have taken that way, and there are other sources that say for certain that he went this way. The back lot is normally his preferred parking spot here, but the back lot is going to be off limits during the upcoming weeks of the investigation, and at this point during the Nock events, due to deceptive bus radio. And unfortunately, that is not a joke. That event is actually going to be happening in the close future. But either way, his house is kind of close to here. It is not exactly in Cornwall Heights, but it is in neighboring Andalusia, Pennsylvania. The easiest way to get there from here is unfortunately to take Woodhaven Road. Not always the easiest place in the world to drive and merge on, because that ramp was designed by maniacs. Again, slightly less sane than Nock, but still. Not quite that level of insanity, but pretty freaking close. Anyway, all it takes is one exit around this windy on-ramp, and we will be very close to our target destination. Doesn't take much, but it also doesn't take much for Nock to be Nock. Yeah. So all it takes is one quick exit there onto Route 13, Bristol Pike. We are going to go by the source, or not source exactly. There's no qualified source yet. That is why we are indeed investigating this case. We're going to go by his original dwelling. Well, not his original dwelling. His original dwelling was located at one exit further. If we would have kept going for one more, we would have originally found it, but all of the documentation of whatever has happened during the time period he lived there has been completely and totally destroyed. So getting evidence of that is going to be significantly more difficult. But we will continue working on that event anyway. But it has been harder and harder for us to recreate the events going past about 2014 or so. There's a significantly better record for his events starting in December. Significantly better. Which is what we have most of the most of the logic and database and events to go on. Because it's just wise to use the data that we actually have rather than trying to take our well-educated guesses. So we thank you for partaking in the events of this excursion, but we don't have many results for you for the moment. However, we are indeed approaching. The next street on the left here is the dwelling. The dwelling has been established and continues to be maintained in an effort to preserve any and all evidence leading up to this case, down to the trash cans left over in the front. Yes, the rest of it has been indeed preserved. The dwelling appears to be empty, considering it is all but technically abandoned. Why is it, you might be asking? The answer is, well, still under investigation. We will definitely try to investigate some of the causes involved in this and get back to you as soon as we can with better information.